Yo. So I recently finished watching Squid Game season 2, and I could say with confidence that it was kind of good. It was pretty good, you know. It wasn't bad. But with the second season ending the way it did, not only did it get me so annoyed because I freaking hate cliffhangers, but it also got me thinking, why do I even like shows like this? Not even just shows, any type of medium that has to do with this type of storytelling. More specifically, I'm talking about the story of death games. There is such a diverse catalog of films and TV shows in this genre that anybody really could just dive into a rabbit hole exploring. By anyone, I mean me. I did that shit. I love this genre, and I'm definitely an advocate for most of the TV shows and films within it, but holy, is there some garbage amongst the gold, man.
What's up, guys? You can take your blindfolds off. Welcome to the obstacle course.
You got your top tier picks for this genre like Squid Games, Hunger Games, and even some of the Saw movies, but it also kind of has some sort of interesting entries with The Box, As the Gods Will, and some of the other Saw movies. It's not to say that I think some of these projects are bad, even though yeah, some of them are really bad. I'm just trying to say that there's definitely factors that separate the diamonds from the rough, you know? So the question really is now, what does it take to make one of these beautifully brutal, beloved, bloody death games? Why do me and you like this type of content? Because if we take a second to think about it, it's kind of a little bit fucked up. I'm gonna be giving some minor spoilers, so just be warned. The characters are one of the most important elements of creating any good piece of media. You can't really have a Harry Potter movie without a good Harry Potter. You can't really have a Baby Driver without a goated baby. And you definitely can't have Squid Games without this guy. Obviously, every story needs good characters, but when it comes to death games in particular, if the characters are written good, that shit just hurts, man. We get to meet somebody, dive into their backstory, relate to them a little bit, understand why they are the way they are, and then all of a sudden, bam, they're dead. It just hurts every time, man. I think Squid Games does this really well with practically all of its characters. I remember watching the first episode, following this, man, thinking to myself, I am so fucking bored right now. Like, when is this actually gonna start, man? I'm here to see blood, not a man gift a child a gun. What I didn't realize, however, is that that first episode was kind of pivotal to the entire story. We were able to follow this man and see why he is the way he is and why he moves the way he moves. Ji-Hyun is an absolute G. He's a good person that genuinely just makes bad decisions. You're telling me the same broke man that fed this stray cat a fish is gonna play a death game where it's essentially last man standing wins? Sign me up, man. That's my guy. Don't get me wrong, this is not the only character that was written well, and in my opinion, he's not even the best. Practically all these characters have some sort of depth and appeal or disappeal. My boy Ali is a sweet-hearted, humble do-gooder. Sang-woo is a cunning, malice, level-headed smartass. And Ji-Young's character was literally given meaning practically out of nowhere. None, however, could top the overbearing amount of aura that one woman has above the rest of them. Everyone who's seen this show loves Sae-byeok. Her motives are so noble in spirit, and her determination to succeed at all costs despite of her fear is so commendable. It makes people love her character so much. She is the definition of a girl boss, and my god, did I just want to see her be happy with her brother, man. There are even fans of hers that believe that if there had to be one winner, it should have been her. And I'm one of those people, man. Justice for Sae-byeok. It's not fair. The games themselves are one of the main reasons why most people watch these type of shows and movies. You have your classic deathmatch, battle royales, escape rooms, traps, and my favorite, the extremely unpredictable, highly elaborate game or games that have low likelihood of survival. What can I say? I like to use my brain sometimes. Games can be done right and games can be done wrong, but unfortunately, they also could be very, very much overdone. Like, stop with the battle royale games. I get it. Everybody loved the Hunger Games, but that's all we need. Thank you. The best example of games that I could think of happened to be with Netflix's show Alice in Borderland. These games are terrifying, and if I'm gonna be honest, I'd probably survive maybe about 10% of them. I don't think I'd live in this world. I think I'd probably die almost immediately. But that's what makes the show so much more watchable, man. Sign me up. The games are identified by a card from a full deck of 52 where the suit identifies the type of game that's being played and the number is the difficulty of it. So yeah, these people are kind of forced to play these games, and yeah, you heard me right, there are 52 of them. Although we do only get to go through 12 games throughout the show, it's enough for me to say that most, if not all of these games are complete bullshit. Every time they enter a game, you're terrified because just like the characters in the show, you have no idea what they're actually signing themselves up for. Each game introduces itself with an element of suspense and mystery where it never really explains itself and just kind of leaves you there with pure hopelessness. In a way, all these games have a solution, but it doesn't mean that it's easy to find it all. These games are complicated as fuck, with some being a test of physicality, intelligence, wits, and others honestly just being pure luck. The games of wits and physicality, I have like a 50-50 shot at, but when it comes to intelligence and psychological, I'm screwed. I'm cooked. Honestly, I'm just gonna kill myself at that point. I think the worst part about these games is that they're forced upon you, because the number not only represents the difficulty of the games, it also represents the amount of days added onto your visa that if it ever runs out, you could basically get killed on the spot. So honestly, fuck the Borderlands. But it is good TV though, so you know, you should watch it. Of course, the story is going to be important for any movie or TV show, but when it comes to this genre, the narrative could really make or break the viewing experience. It's not exactly the easiest thing to do to put multiple people in a game where the outcome is either win or die and have it make some sort of sense. Squid Games is more of like a social commentary that speaks on these people and kind of talks about how they just see these competitors as their form of entertainment, which is kind of like really fucked up. Like, how can anybody see people dying brutally as any form of entertainment? It's so weird. What are you looking at? The story that does it best by far is going to be obviously The Hunger Games. I know what you're thinking. The Hunger Games is technically a teen dystopia movie, but why can't it be both? I mean, come on. It literally has the word game in the title, like games, Hunger Games. Come on. The movie starts out by having this text on the screen explaining what the Hunger Games is and how it came about, followed by this man essentially hyping it up to be more than just a punishment, more than just a brutal death match, which it isn't if you didn't know that, by the way. He's then asked how his personal style contributes to the games, where his answer immediately gets abruptly cut off and goes to a girl screaming in District 12, which happens to be Katniss' sister. Why is she screaming, you might ask? Well, it's because of the fear that the Hunger Games drives within all these children. She woke up screaming from a nightmare that she was going to be chosen during the reaping ceremony for this year's Hunger Games. When I tell you by this point I was hooked, y'all probably have no idea what I mean. The story literally juxtaposed the propaganda that this goofball was trying to spew with the reality of what the games actually were, a means of forcing fear and suppression of the people of the districts. The games are explained immediately and even before we get introduced to our main character. The story gets even richer as we follow Katniss, who's essentially Kate Bishop, as she volunteers herself as tribute for her little sister Prim, who's essentially like, you know, like a fortune teller. Like, are we not going to talk about it? She literally predicted she was going to get chosen. Katniss fights to survive as she goes through his mental and physical torment just to come out on the other end a completely different person. There are honestly so many plot elements that make this story so immersive, and I could go on and on about them, but this isn't a Hunger Games video. But I am going to say that if a story could explain its death games as well as this one did, then it's probably going to be an amazing experience. Also, fuck the circle, that shit was ass. Realistically, I know that if I were to be put in any of these death games, I'd most likely be cooked. It's honestly just a fun watching experience, and I had a really good time watching all these movies and shows. I hope this genre grows with more experimental, fun, and creative stories to be made as time goes on. And please, no more Hunger Games ripoffs. Please, I can't take it anymore. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me today. If you guys liked the video, why not flick that like button, maybe share it with your friends. It honestly would mean a lot. If you disagree with anything I said or think there's more to talk about regarding this topic, leave it in the comments down below. I'd love to continue the conversation. Other than that, I'm not Jonathan, and I'll catch you on the next one. Adeuce.